don't know. I see it just kind of collapsing at some point and him coming back to England and it being a really messy divorce and she's going to end up with some, big American billionaire and just dump him.
I'm going to call it. I think that there's going to be divorce in the next 3 to 5 years.
Meghan Markle has dumped Prince Harry from her Netflix deal. She's the rock star now. And the Fresh Prince is gonna have to go and make his own money.
I think it's a combination of a few things. In my opinion, I think that Meghan is playing this whole her life, scripted, produced, acted by her, all on her dime or whatever. She's playing this fantasy life out in her own mind.
How Harry is so much better on his own, and the evidence appears to keep adding up. Louise, is there more than just a professional separation?
Well, it does make me wonder because all signs point to some issues behind the scenes. I mean, professionally, they've had to separate. Their brand was toxic. They were practically radioactive in Hollywood and across America and the UK as well. So whether that travels into a separation for them.
She got the fame. He got forgotten. Prince Harry gave up everything. The crown, the country, even his identity for Meghan Markle. But now, she's cutting him out one deal at a time. And the biggest betrayal? It didn't happen in public. It happened in silence, behind closed doors on paper, and in headlines he never saw coming. This isn't a love story anymore. It's an erasure. And what comes next could change everything.
When a money pot starts to dry up, that's when people like Meghan, who had a previous relationship with a producer, wonder why, as a Hollywood actress, she married a producer who then didn't really help her with her career, who she then left, jumped to the next option. She came to London wanting to be with a footballer. It was for a PR thing. Yeah. She ended up accidentally landing in the hands of Harry, who was in a very, very dark spot, playing, third wheel to Kate and William.
They were the couple who defied the crown, the modern royals who rewrote the rules. Meghan and Harry weren't just making headlines. They were the headlines. From royal walkouts to Oprah tell-alls, Spotify exclusives to Netflix deals worth tens of millions, they were untouchable, glossy, global, golden. But behind the curated smiles and carefully lit Zoom interviews, something was unraveling. Slowly, quietly, and then all at once, their once unshakable brand, that bold, us against the world energy started losing its shine.
She wants to be Diana so bad. It's kind of freaky and kind of scary. And when Harry mentioned on that interview, right off the bat, some people in the royal family, and I'm not going to say who they are, they want us dead.
So, she will jump onto the next opportunity. And I think that she is almost the breadwinner, so to speak, of the family. And I think it's weighing on her.
I think she's the one with the energy. I agree with that. She's the one with the ambition.
But you can't.
And that is because, Simon, they come from very different backgrounds. I think that Prince Harry does not understand ambition. He really doesn't.
It wasn't just the public growing tired of the media saturation. Hollywood itself began to pull away. Executives whispered that the couple's projects underperformed. Meghan's animated series? Canceled before it even launched. Harry's docu-series on mental health? Barely made a ripple. And Spotify? Let's just say, it was a breakup, not even worth a press release. Then came the pivot. Suddenly, Meghan was showing up solo, in meetings, media decks, and PR briefs. Deals began dropping Harry's name altogether.
And so I think for her to finally have this deal by herself, I think would be a huge coup. But it's also a recognition of the fact that, well, what was actually successful for them was them together. And so for her to go solo is a bit of a risk here.
Behind closed doors, the buzz was brutal. She's the star. He's the baggage. This wasn't just a brand strategy shift. It was a quiet split, not of marriage, but of mission. The royal rebels who were once inseparable on camera were now operating on completely different frequencies. And as Meghan leaned deeper into Hollywood, the narrative started tilting in her favor, strategically, subtly, and absolutely on purpose. But the question wasn't just why she was going solo. It was how long Harry had seen it coming, and what he was willing to ignore just to stay in the story.
Deranged, I think. I mean, and he, as I say, he's very, very paranoid, very miserable, very lost. Do you sense, as I sensed?
Because we know that she's already shopping this post-divorce book, or at least people close to her are. So this is how The Sun revealed the story, Brittany. They wrote, Meghan is set to land a Netflix deal.
No shouting, no cheating scandals, no broken glass or storm outs. Just quiet. And for insiders watching the couple up close, that silence was the loudest red flag of all. There weren't fights echoing through the Montecito mansion. There were entire days of eerie calm. Separate rooms, separate schedules, separate lives. Harry began to vanish, not from headlines, but from his own life.
Underneath all this, he knows he's kind of wrecked his own life. He's been lured away from what he was born to, and that is to be a Prince of Britain, to be a part of the royal family.
Friends noticed. Staff whispered. He wasn't angry, just adrift. Long walks alone on the beach. Headphones in, hoodie up, midnight therapy calls, missed messages to old friends back in the UK. His once sharp spark replaced by a blank stare and quiet hesitation. One source put it bluntly, there's something behind his eyes now, like he's carrying too much and has nowhere to put it.
To the royal family. She's taking him over to California, and he's a ship adrift. He's got no purpose, he's got no direction home, his family don't talk to him. She has ruined him, and he's chipped in and ruined himself, do you think?
Meanwhile, Meghan, she was everywhere. Strategic partnerships, power brunches, brand meetings. Her narrative was crystal clear. Reinvention, independence, domination. But for the first time, they weren't aligned. The hand-holding stopped. The speeches about truth felt scripted. The vibe shifted, like a duet where one voice had gone flat, and the other just kept singing. And that wasn't just emotional distance. It was the start of something bigger, something calculated.
Well, if we want to go down, if the divorce is coming at some point, Meghan's definitely the one to get behind.
I absolutely agree with you on all those points. I've watched Harry's downfall from the very, very beginning. When they first turned on me personally and my family, and I wrote him that letter, because everything since that point has gone downhill, and he's become less and less and less of a man continuously every month, every year.
The spark didn't come from a fight. It came from a magazine, People magazine. The one outlet that had always been Meghan's personal PR playground suddenly published a piece that shook Harry to his core. On the surface, it looked like fluff, soft focus, empowerment buzzwords, another piece about Meghan's evolution. But beneath the glossy paragraphs, it was a quiet landmine.
Who's driving Harry and making him do these things? Listen, he wrote a book. He totally attacked the monarchy, totally attacked William and Catherine.
Meghan was described as the visionary, the businesswoman, the strategist, the glue. And Harry? Nothing. No quotes. No presence. Not even a paragraph. It was like he didn't exist, said one stunned friend. Like he was a side character in his own marriage. Harry knew that nothing in Meghan's world went to print by accident. Not a quote, not a comma, not even the silence. So when his name wasn't there, that was the message. One insider called it a betrayal by punctuation. Every elegant sentence underscored the same theme. She's the star. He's the shadow. And for Harry, that moment wasn't just humbling, it was devastating. Because it didn't just hit the media, it hit home.
He doesn't know what to say. He thinks he's going to get in trouble if he doesn't say exactly what Meghan says. Apparently, in my opinion, of course, but very sad. We're not going to say who they are. They want us dead.
Yeah.
I mean, that right there, red flags everywhere.
From that moment on, things started to crack. Harry pulled back from the cameras, from the public, and most tellingly from Meghan. He wasn't storming out. He was fading out. Fewer joint appearances, shorter interviews, longer pauses when asked about their future. It's like he's watching his own life like a stranger, said a source, and he doesn't know where to jump back in. The man who once defied the monarchy to protect Meghan was now quietly questioning everything. The Oprah sit-down, the Netflix docuseries, the Spotify drama, the exile, even the marriage. Meanwhile, Meghan's momentum kept building. She was already crafting her comeback, solo decks, solo deals, solo strategy. And Harry wasn't in the room.
He's been lured away from what he was born to, and that is to be a Prince of Britain, to be a part of the royal family.
Their $14 million Montecito estate was supposed to be a sanctuary. Now, it felt like a museum of dreams that never happened. Lavender-lined pathways, ocean views, enough square footage to host a royal wedding. But inside, separate wings, separate lives. To outsiders, it still looked perfect. To Harry, it felt like solitary confinement in silk sheets. He spent hours pacing, headphones blaring, lost in his thoughts. No more spontaneous laughter, no playful banter. The air inside the mansion had changed. He wasn't escaping the crown anymore. He was stuck in a different kind of palace. And the walls weren't coming down. This was no longer a love story. It was a corporate pivot. Meghan had rebranded, and Harry didn't make the cut. Insiders revealed that promo decks for her new ventures didn't feature him at all. No photos, no mention, no seat at the table. It's as if she's building a new world, and he's just not in it. Gone were the Harry and Meghan logos. In their place, Meghan, solo, sleek, powerful. Sources say he was stunned. Not angry, not loud, just stunned. He watched it all unfold like a man reading his own obituary and realizing it was written weeks ago. Friends noticed something dark settling over Harry. The cheeky smile, gone. The sharp wit, muted. The fire that led him to leave the monarchy, burned out. Now, he was just a man alone in a house full of memories. Late-night WhatsApps to old friends. Quiet messages to people he once cut off. He wasn't asking for help. He was checking if he still existed to someone. Meanwhile, Meghan was already steps ahead. Meetings booked, messages drafted, interviews scheduled. She was in motion. He was in limbo. And worst of all, he knew it. There won't be a dramatic split. No explosive press conference. No TMZ video of a screaming match. This ending will be quiet, calculated, inevitable. Insiders say Harry may soon return to London. Quietly, perhaps under the banner of charity or service work. But those close to him know better. He's not going back for the crown. He's going back to find himself. And Meghan, she's already positioned for her solo act. The new brand, the updated narrative, the world without Harry. For years, they fought side by side. But now, they're walking in opposite directions. One chasing control, the other chasing clarity. And in the final scene of this royal rebellion, Prince Harry, once the bold, passionate outcast, is learning a brutal truth. Sometimes, the fairy tale doesn't end with a villain. It ends with a quiet rewrite where the hero doesn't make it to the final page. If you made it this far, you already know this story isn't over. So what do you think? Is Harry waking up too late? Or was this always Meghan's plan? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. And if you want the full truth behind what's coming next, subscribe, because the next chapter is already being written. They printed his name. They showed his face. They promised he'd be there. But when the moment came, Prince Harry disappeared.
I mean, yeah, the lightness you're describing, Harry, is called being high. It brings new meaning to your highness.
What we really saw, in my view, my amateurish view, was a man with psychiatric problems. So I thought we might try and, as it were, metaphorically put Prince Harry on the psychiatrist's couch and try to establish what we think may be wrong with him.
No, I see it just kind of collapsing at some point and him coming back to England and it being a really messy divorce and she's going to end up with some, big American billionaire and just dump him.
No speech, no apology, no sign he was ever coming. And stranger than that, no one's talking. Not the press, not the palace, not even Meghan. It's like someone hit delete on his entire appearance. And the only thing left behind is silence. Prince Harry didn't just miss an event, he disappeared from it. Earlier this month, the Duke of Sussex was expected to appear at a highly publicized environmental summit in London. His organization, Travelist, was not only a featured partner, but Harry was billed as a speaker and figurehead for the initiative. His name appeared in official schedules. His face was used in early press clips. Everything pointed to a high-profile return to the UK stage, one that would have aligned perfectly with his past advocacy around sustainable travel. And yet, when the moment came, there was no sign of him. Not backstage, not in the crowd, not even a pre-recorded message. There wasn't a placeholder seat. No official, due to unforeseen circumstances, statement. Not even a tweet. It was like someone scrubbed him out of the event just minutes before it began.
Psychiatric problems?
Well, you may be an amateur, but I think you're being psychologically very astute. I thought it was an extraordinary interview.
What makes this even stranger is the contrast. Prince William, his brother, had appeared at another climate-focused event just days earlier, commanding headlines, shaking hands with global leaders, and positioning himself as a forward-facing royal. William showing up was expected. Harry following up was supposed to be the narrative arc. But when he didn't, it created a jarring, very public gap. And this wasn't a pop-up panel or minor side gig. The event was internationally broadcast, attended by heads of state and major climate organizations. Security was already airtight. The guest list had been planned for weeks. Harry's involvement wasn't speculative, it was confirmed, which is why his absence sent shockwaves not just through the room, but across royal watchers and online circles worldwide. Because if there was a change in schedule, someone would have said something. But they didn't. They stayed quiet. And when the people closest to Harry go quiet, the speculation doesn't just start. It explodes. The event didn't pause. It didn't adjust. It moved forward like nothing was missing. As world leaders took the stage, the cameras swept across the venue. Speeches began. Panels opened. Applause followed every carefully timed soundbite. But through all the fanfare, no one mentioned Harry, not once. There wasn't a courtesy nod, not a single, he sends his regrets. It was like the founder of one of the key organizations simply didn't exist. And that's the part that's hard to ignore. Travelist wasn't a side project. It was his signature move after stepping back from royal duties, a global initiative aimed at reshaping sustainable travel. He's spoken about it in interviews, promoted it at past summits, and positioned it as proof that he and Meghan were serious about impact. This summit was supposed to be a reaffirmation of that mission. And yet, his disappearance wasn't just unaddressed. It was actively buried. Compare that to Prince William's performance earlier in the week. William showed up at the Earthshot Prize event, shook hands with global innovators, and delivered a keynote that hit every media headline by morning. He didn't just attend, he owned the spotlight. Even outlets that rarely cover royal affairs ran full segments on his speech. Harry, on the other hand, went from centerpiece to ghost. This wasn't some scheduling error or calendar confusion. The timing was precise. Harry was meant to follow in William's footsteps, a show of unity through separate paths. And with William soaring in public approval, Harry's absence looked more than just inconvenient. It looked calculated. Calculated by whom? That's where things start getting messy. Because when someone disappears in broad daylight at a fully televised event, and nobody even blinks, it suggests one thing. Someone made sure the world looked away. For someone who built a brand on voice, visibility, and control, Meghan going silent is more than unusual. It's strategic, or alarming, maybe both.
I'm going to call it. I think that there's going to be divorce in the next 3 to 5 years. And I hate to say that, but I'm sorry, when the money pot...
I love the way we all laugh.
No, but when the money pot starts to dry up, that's when people like Meghan, who had a previous relationship with a producer, wonder why, as a Hollywood actress, she married a producer who then didn't really help her with her career, who she then left, jumped to the next option. She came to London wanting to be with a footballer. It was for a PR thing. Yeah. She ended up accidentally landing in the hands of Harry, who was in a very, very dark spot.
In the days leading up to the summit, Meghan's social presence had followed its typical rhythm: carefully curated lifestyle posts, subtle brand messaging, and the occasional motivational quote. Even when Harry wasn't front and center, she kept the Sussex image active and polished. But as soon as Harry failed to appear, everything stopped. No Instagram activity, no statement from the Archwell Foundation, no whisper of a press release, not even the kind of vague messaging Meghan has mastered. Something like focusing on family or supporting behind the scenes. Just complete silence from Montecito. And if you've followed Meghan at all, you know that silence isn't part of her playbook. Every photo, every interview, every post has a purpose. Whether it's brand building, narrative control, or quiet PR warfare, her public moves are never accidental. Which begs the question, why go completely dark at the exact moment speculation is exploding? If Harry's absence was planned or harmless, Meghan would have packaged it. That's what she does. She would have reframed it, spun it into something digestible. Harry is working privately with partners, or he's prioritizing behind-the-scenes impact. But this time, she said nothing. That kind of vacuum invites one conclusion. Either she's managing a situation too serious to polish, or she's being told not to speak at all. Both possibilities shift the narrative from a missed appearance to a deeper crisis. And while royal fans and skeptics alike might disagree on Meghan's motives, everyone agrees on this. When she doesn't speak, something is definitely off. And the longer she stays quiet, the more people start asking questions she might not want to answer. When there's no official statement, the internet fills in the blanks. Within hours of Harry's no-show, social media lit up, not with condolences or confusion, but with theories. Some were dramatic, others felt disturbingly plausible. A growing number of Reddit threads and Twitter chains hinted at the same thing. Prince Harry might be in crisis, not just mentally overwhelmed, not just stepping away to recharge. People were whispering about rehab, a possible mental breakdown, even an involuntary stay in a high-security treatment facility. Sounds extreme? Maybe. But then ask yourself, when has the press ever passed up a chance to blow a royal scandal wide open? And that's where things get truly strange. Because this time, the media didn't say a word. None of the UK tabloids that live off scandal ran a headline. No American outlets speculated about his health. The royal correspondents, who are usually quick to spin any public absence into 3 days of content, stayed silent. Not even the palace sources surfaced with leaks. It wasn't just media silence, it was a complete blackout. And that kind of coordinated quiet doesn't happen unless someone makes it happen. Because let's be real, if Harry had just skipped a speech or caught the flu, the press would have milked that into 20 stories. But they didn't. They acted like he was never scheduled to appear in the first place. So, what exactly is powerful enough to silence both the palace and the press? Something big, and probably something they're desperately trying to contain. By now, the public was asking questions the press refused to print. But the most unsettling part, it wasn't just Harry who disappeared. His entire presence at the event was scrubbed. Posters and promotional materials that once featured Harry's name as founder of Travelist were quietly swapped out or ignored altogether. The event's official recap made no mention of him. Even social media accounts affiliated with the summit failed to acknowledge the absence. No filler segment, no quote from Harry, not even a recycled clip from a past appearance. It was like the summit moved forward by pretending he never existed. And that's more than damage control. That's intentional erasure. Think about it. This is one of the few public projects Harry still has his name on. With royal duties behind him, a paused Netflix presence, and dwindling public goodwill, Travelist wasn't just important, it was his proof of purpose. So why erase the founder from his own event? Either the organizers were told to remove him, or they were warned. Because you don't erase someone's name unless keeping it there causes more trouble than removing it. And if Harry really has been pulled into a private crisis, it makes sense why his entire presence might be put on ice, temporarily or permanently. Then came the deflection theory. Some outlets, desperate for a softer explanation, floated a ridiculous alternative. Maybe Harry skipped the summit to attend a private party hosted by George Clooney. The idea? That Harry chose champagne over sustainability. But here's the issue: no evidence exists. No blurry paparazzi photos. No anonymous party guest leaks. Not even a cheeky Daily Mail footnote. And let's be honest, if he was anywhere remotely public, someone would have snapped a photo by now. We live in an era where even C-list celebrities get caught grabbing coffee. And Harry? He's one of the most recognizable faces on the planet. So if the party theory falls apart, what's left? The more credible whispers point toward a high-security rehab facility, not a luxury retreat dressed up as self-care, but the kind where phones are banned, press leaks are impossible, and the goal is full lockdown recovery. And if that's where Harry is, it doesn't just change the narrative, it completely rewrites it. This isn't just a PR hiccup. This could be the moment Harry stopped faking it for the cameras. Here's the part nobody wants to talk about. What happens if Harry returns and everything's changed? Because if this really is a breakdown or a rehab stint or some other deeply personal reckoning, then there's a good chance the Harry who comes back won't be the one who left. He might return with clarity, with distance, with questions. And those questions could shake everything: his marriage, his businesses, even his entire public identity. Let's be honest, people who go through real recovery often emerge with a new lens. They cut ties. They reassess relationships. They start asking, how did I get here? And who's really in control of my life? And for Harry, that's dangerous because it puts every part of the Sussex brand on the table. Was stepping away from the royal family truly his choice? Has he found freedom? Or just another kind of isolation? And if he realizes he wants out again, what does that mean for Meghan? The silence, for now, protects the image. But if Harry wakes up and doesn't like what he sees, the world might be watching the start of a complete reinvention. Maybe this isn't a PR crisis. Maybe it's a slow, quiet exit. Think about it. This is a man who grew up with the cameras in his face, who walked behind his mother's coffin, who stepped back from an institution that shaped his entire identity. And maybe, just maybe, he's now stepping away from everything else too. The spotlight, the pressure, the image. Maybe he's finally had enough. Because the longer this silence stretches, the more it feels less like damage control and more like disappearance by design. No photos, no statements, no fake smiles, just gone. And unless someone close to him speaks up, unless he decides to break the silence, this moment might be remembered not as a scandal, but as the beginning of Harry's final vanishing act. In a world where silence is rare, Harry's is deafening, and it may be telling us everything we're not supposed to hear.